Hello, everyone. This is an analysis of Game 6 from the WOSC that I played in Barcelona over the summer. This game is actually pretty special for me. I don't know if I played that well, but I actually got to play up on the stage on one of the top six boards. Now, it's a little bit strange because I went from like board 22 to board 6 after a loss, which doesn't really make very much sense. I think one of the commenters on a previous video said that they had tried changing a setting in their matchmaking software for this round and it went haywire. And so maybe I was a bit of a beneficiary to that. So I got to play somebody that was doing quite well in the tournament and relatively high rated. Unfortunately, the very, very beginning of the game, I forgot to record. Luckily, I remembered during the middle of the game. So at the beginning, we're just gonna have to start off with Lee Shogi, and this is kind of how I remember the game going. Not necessarily how the game actually went in like the first 20 moves or so. But it gets to the same position, and nothing super exciting happened in the opening in this game. The one thing I'll mention, I'm going for my Gangi strategy, and my opponent played this move pawn 3-6. When my opponent plays pawn 3-6, I have to be wary of a quick attack, whether bogeying or hayakuriging this way. And the thing to do actually with Gungi against an opponent that's trying to attack quickly like that is actually you need to set up some sort of counter attack. You're not going to be able to just defend it straight on because your bishop is here instead of silver. And so that's why I went ahead and pushed my rook pawn. My opponent went ahead and kept going with his castle. I'm setting up my counter attack by pushing my rook pawn here. And same thing here. This is also to set up a quick counter attack if I need it. Looking here, though, I think this counterattack works better if this pawn is not pushed. The idea being you can go here and attack the pawn like this. So I don't know if I like my choice to move this over here after this pawn. It's probably better placed on 6-2. And that way I have an option to go to any of these squares because this one is a little bit slow for a counterattack because I'm going to also need to push this. So yeah, I think right around here is where I remembered to turn on the recording. So we can switch over to the recording real quick here. And you can see, we spent a total of like 5 minutes or so on these opening moves. And the interesting thing here is there's like a second idea there. So obviously I said, okay, if my opponent does a rapid attack, then I'm going to want to counterattack. But he kind of chose to threaten the early attack, but then take the time to go ahead and castle his king. And so the rapid counterattack doesn't quite work because, okay, he's set up as well. So now I'm trying to figure out what my setup will be. Generally speaking, I like going for this formation. It is called Tsunogin Gangi, which is a difference in where your silver is placed. What I like about it is that it gives you the option to castle your king to the left or to the right, depending on how aggressive your opponent wants to be. So my opponent goes ahead and pushes the fifth file pawn. Here I'm actually trying to decide right now which way I'm going to end up castling. And I decided, okay, I still have this waiting move to jump knight, and I can see what he does with this silver. And so he goes ahead and brings the silver to the right side of the board, which means he's going to attack. I went ahead and pulled my rook back. And here I really had the main thought was to castle my king to the right. Obviously, I didn't do that. So I'm going to pause real quick because I did build up basically that entire opening to kind of explain this structure, right? So this is the Tsunogin Gangi structure that I'm talking about, and it's a really nice structure, actually. It's very balanced. It covers many, many squares. It's got like 3 different Mino-like configurations, so it's also very solid. And again, it's giving you the choice of which way to castle your king. And honestly, I mean, maybe not the whole point, but one of the main ideas is when my opponent is going to go for, he's clearly going to try and do something like this, right? Or even like this, that I can put my king over here, and it's much safer than if I put it over here. Now, I decided not to do this. I actually thought about it for quite some time. And the reason why I didn't do it is because I'm just not as familiar with putting my king this way, because I don't actually face this very much. Although I know that that's the idea, is when the silver gets put on 3-7, we want to try and get our king away from that attack. It's just a bit complicated if you're not super familiar with it, because it plays very, very different. It actually almost plays like a ranging rook strategy, where you're actually casting your king to the right side of the board, and then ideally what you're doing to activate the rook is bringing it this way or this way, or some variation of this is what you need to end up doing. And I've tried it a few times and I never really got it to work in the way that I wanted it to. So I decided in this game, okay, like I'm not 100% sure, or confident at least, in my Migigyoku, so let me just go ahead, I'll castle into it and I'll try and defend it. I do regret it a bit because that wasn't really what my intention was, and I kind of should just play what I thought was best as opposed to kind of being a little bit scared of going into an opening or strategy. And of course, my opponent's going to attack, so I go ahead and defend. But I mean, I still have some experience trying to defend this type of attack, and the main idea is to not take this pawn. It's super important to not take this pawn. Right, and I think any bogeying defense, generally speaking, you don't want to let the silver come to the 5th rank, this rank here. Don't let the silver get here, at least as much as possible. And specifically, you don't want it to get to one of these squares, right? So if I take back, silver gets here, and now he's getting this. I can't stop it, right? Even if I drop the pawn, this is coming. And so I'm going to basically end up trading my bishop for his silver. Now, I was actually thinking about allowing this because there's some video where I was watching where this is not that bad for you. The idea being, in this position, if you drop a pawn here, it is bad for you. But the idea actually is to jump the knight here. And basically, the rook actually cannot promote because the rook is defending the back rank. And then you're threatening kind of something nasty here, which is pawn drop on 2-5. And this actually traps the rook in, right? And then you can, for example, if you want, just drop the silver, or even drop the silver, drop the silver. So this is an idea. I haven't actually played it over the board, and you can see the engine doesn't really like it. So I decided not to go for this. And instead, to just not take it and open up my bishop diagonal to counterattack. All right. So now, here I could have just taken the pawn, obviously, with the silver, and that's probably what I should have done. I decided to play a little bit fancy, which is to move my bishop up. And my idea here is now he can't swing his rook over to the 3rd file, because then the silver hangs. The problem I ended up having is now, obviously, my 2nd file is weak. But I thought, okay, like he can't get in here. But my opponent played a very interesting move here, which is to retreat the silver, opening up the rook to attack the 2nd file. I went ahead and defended. This is really the only way I can defend it. But actually here I was like, it is not doing that much. Here's probably where I made the mistake. I should just take this pawn, but I decided to counterattack. And I actually spoke about this position with my opponent after the game. So if we just check this out, so really quickly, obviously engine just wants to take, and then if pawn, we can just go back, and our opponent's silver is pretty much stuck. If our opponent goes ahead and moves the rook over, we can just go back, pawn drop, just go back, and we're fine. This is slow, right? So this is where we're going to counterattack, because it's going to take him at least this, even this isn't quite there, so he's going to have to move the rook back. And here's where we get to start attacking, because we have the pawn, and we can do some edge attack, knight jump, pawn push shenanigans. So this is what I should have gone for. And then even I think after this, it's not that bad, obviously. My opponent pushes the pawn, I take, he retreats, and I go ahead and defend with the gold. The engine wanted something else. Interesting. So the engine wants to do the counter attack here, because even if the rook takes here, we can just drop the pawn, and we're not in any danger anymore. So that's a good idea, actually. I didn't consider that. But yeah, it wants, I'm assuming, yeah. So this is a classic Tesuji called Tsugifu. I think I've talked about it a few times, and it's very, very common when you have your knight here to get your knight up to 8-5 in attack, right? So if they take, knight takes, bishop's gonna have to run, and then this pawn push is very, very strong. Okay, so yes, should have gone for this. Now instead, of course, here, I ended up pushing this pawn on 6-5. So obviously the engine just wants to push again. But I think this is also very natural. Defending here, preventing, any shenanigans, defending here. What I didn't like about this was pawn drop back, and then silver gets out. But actually, this is okay. I should have been fine with this, because remember when we were talking about bogeying, you don't want the silver specifically on 3-5. You want to prevent it from getting here too if you can. But actually being here is okay, because it's not coordinating with the rook. So yeah, this would have been fine. This would have been the other thing to go for. So yeah. Again, I don't face a ton of people attacking this way. So I'm a little bit unpracticed. Specifically this, I was not familiar with at all. This was completely, I was basically completely on my own at this point. Okay, and my move was a pawn 6-5, and this, I had not heard it explained this way before, and what my opponent said was this was not a good move, because in the previous position here, my opponent's bishop is very inactive. It's blocked, and it really has no good way of getting into the game. I mean, maybe like this. Whereas my bishop is active, right? Like I have this threat that we just looked at. And basically when I push pawn 6-5 first, I'm losing that threat. And I'm allowing the bishops to get traded off. It's like my good bishop for his bad bishop, right? So my bishop is staring at his king, his bishop is staring at his own pawn. So it was like an interesting way to think about it. That it's like a very chess way to think about it, right? But it makes a lot of sense. It's something that I definitely learned from this game. So hopefully I can implement it going forward as well. Okay, so I go ahead and make this bad move. My opponent even finds this nice in-between move to take the pawn, make me retreat my bishop, and then take the pawn back. So like I wasted, basically, I'm going to end up wasting like 2 moves, moving my bishop for no reason. Not no reason, obviously, like running it away and then trading it. Now, I thought this was fine for me for a very specific reason, which is, I mean, if he takes with the silver, it kind of messes up his castle in a way. He takes with the knight, and the point was that specifically I wanted to get this bishop drop, right? So here, really quick, if my opponent takes it, I'm in pretty good shape um, with this bishop drop, I thought. Now, I mean, Engine thinks it's fine. But I thought this was difficult for my opponent, maybe. But maybe not. It just wants to drop the bishop, and it's forking my pieces. So interestingly enough, he could have just taken, and it wasn't actually that big of a problem. My opponent retreats. And after he retreated, I was like, wait, what do I do from here? Yeah, I was kind of stuck actually. And now I don't have that attack, right? That threat that I had with the bishop. So this becomes not as strong, right? We're just going to end up trading knights. I suppose maybe something like this is in order, but I don't have a pawn to drop because I dropped it here. So I did definitely feel stuck after he just ran the gold, which was kind of interesting. Yeah, I just dropped it. I was like, oh, if he takes it, I'm fine. I can drop the bishop, and then if he doesn't take it, it's like, okay, great, I have a pawn there. But then I got in the position. I was like, wait, like what do I actually do? So I ended up pushing this pawn. Obviously, I saw the potential bishop drop on 5-5 was a problem, and so I decided to push this pawn because I didn't see another move for him. He found this move, which I didn't consider at all. It's a really nice move. Obviously, it's the same idea as the bishop drop, except we can go here. It's the same idea as the bishop drop on 5-5 to take this knight, except this is actually a threat, right? Because he's gonna sack the bishop for the gold, but then his rook gets in and I can't prevent it. So here I wasn't sure what to do, and I felt like, oh, okay, like maybe this pawn push was a bit of a wasted move. I was actually a little bit confused because I didn't realize at the time that the bishop trade was the problem. Obviously, this pawn push wasn't great either. He did find a really nice answer to it. And I didn't really realize that the answer was that I need to actually attack earlier. So again, like lesson learned for this game, like in these structures where I'm playing this gangi with my bishop on this diagonal, if the king has moved all the way in, like I need to attack, right? And I think most of the time I play against this, people keep the king on 7-9. And even then, like it's still good, right? Because I can take the lance. But yeah, I don't have people castling all the way in, which is probably another reason why I was a little bit off with the moves that I chose in this game. Okay, so here I decided, okay, like at least I need to defend the knight, I thought. Obviously, it sucks that he gets in, but I just didn't. I felt like at least here I have a material advantage, right? And maybe I can do something with the material advantage. And okay, maybe I just drop this bishop. It prevents him from promoting to 2-2 directly. Okay, he can promote here. But then maybe here I can defend. And actually I can. I just didn't see the best defensive resource here. So I think here I end up dropping a bishop on 2-2. I thought this was really clever. But I didn't actually think it through enough. So, and it looks very funky. So I think this bishop drop is okay. It's not so bad. Engine wanted, no, okay, so Engine agrees that this is the best move. And then here, oh, it wants to drop on 2-4 instead. That makes a lot of sense. So what I wanted with this bishop drop is to take this pawn, knight takes, pawn promotion, discovered attack, and a fork. Right? That's what I was seeing, and that's what I thought would be good here. So he saw that, and he made an interesting move that prevented it. Now, I was analyzing this game afterwards. Can't remember who it was. With somebody specific, or maybe it was even with him, but I don't think it was. Somebody had suggested this move. Okay, so it is the second best move according to the engine to bring the silver back, right? And this hits here, and prevents him from getting in or dropping anything really. And actually, that's interesting. The engine thinks that the best move is to actually trade the dragon off. I don't know. Maybe he plays that move, but I kind of doubt it. Yeah, no, this didn't occur to me at all at the time actually to take this. This move I don't think I thought of either. So okay, if he goes back, then I'm doing all right actually, because I get to start attacking. Interesting. But yeah, okay. So my idea was, okay, like, let's use this diagonal. Now, in retrospect, if I thought it was such a good idea to put my bishop on this diagonal, maybe I should have kept it there instead of trading it off in the first place, right? But okay, so this is my idea. And my opponent finds a really interesting counter to it. And this move I did not see coming at all. He dropped his gold here. And what this does is defend that pawn, right? Very, very simply defends the pawn. So now the engine doesn't love it. I mean, it thinks, so the move I was afraid of actually ends up being the top engine move, was just gold drop here. And the reason why I was scared of this is if I take it with the bishop, I mean, check, and he's going to come back and take it. So I can't take it. And then if he takes here and I take back, I lose this attack, right? So this is the move I was afraid of. Interesting that it actually is the top engine move, because I thought after seeing this move initially, I thought it wasn't a good move. I thought my gold drop was my idea for what the gold drop should be was better. But the longer I looked at it, the more I felt like this was quite a good move. So number one, it blocks really my only idea in the position, which is to take this with the knight, right? Because now he could just take with the gold. And what I thought initially was that it's not a good move because that's all it's doing, right? It's only defending this pawn, but actually it's doing a very nice job coordinating with the silver and with this dragon on this rank, which is what I didn't see at first. But the more I started to try and figure out what to do, the more I saw, like, wait a minute, like, he's actually attacking me. And I don't know what I'm gonna do about it, because this coordination was a lot, and I just couldn't figure it out. Okay, what does the engine want? Yeah, something like that. And okay, these are the moves. So this really, it seems like this whole time I was supposed to just push my pawn. So again, a lesson learned. Just push that rook pawn when you can. Even if you don't have a direct plan for it immediately, like it's just like a good move to get things going, and it speeds things up so that later you don't have to spend this move, and your opponent will actually have to respond to it. So yeah. Again, like, you know, not the best move according to the engine, but I thought it was a very practical move, where it's preventing me from doing the thing I want to do, my idea, while also contributing to the attack. So I thought it was pretty good. Okay. So honestly, from here, the game gets very, very one-sided, because I didn't really see a way to attack, and so my idea was to just run. My idea was to just run away as quickly as possible, and hope to, like, get my king to safety with this gold and this silver somewhere. And you can see how much time I spent over here trying to figure out a continuation, and I really could not find one. other than trying to run away. Um, you know, my idea was if I could run away enough and like find a position where I had some breathing room, then maybe there was some room for like sack, right? Take now. Um, something over here. But all of these moves were just a bit too slow. Like this attack is very, very strong. Um, like basically this silver drop is a Tsumero. Take. I guess I can show, right? So here, like if I take, just dragon takes. This is a Tsumero, and I really can't defend it. Yeah, okay, yeah. Engine thinks this is Hishi even, right? Mate in 20, even though it's not check. Um, so that's pretty much in all of these positions. Like I just felt like I'm getting like Hishi'd and mated. And my only idea was to try and run and hope that he just did not find like the best attack and gave me a move to do something like this. I mean, I could have taken it here, I suppose, but again, it just wasn't a big enough threat. He doesn't because he doesn't have to take it. Yeah, and this is obviously a threat mate. So if I do something like this, and I try and do something like this, it's just mate. Um, so yeah, I think by here the game is just pretty much over. So yeah, engine. I guess this is really the last position where I really had any hope. And engine really likes this pawn push. Okay, and then if takes, then come back. Okay, so this was actually a key move, I suppose, in defending. Feels so counterintuitive, but it makes a lot of sense, right? Because the whole problem that I was having in all of those variations is like this type of maneuvering. And so this just hits the dragon from here. Oh, and actually, it actually succeeds in pushing him back. Interesting. Yeah. So maybe something like this would have given me a chance, right? So I take, he blocks, yeah, come back, and now I'm threatening a pawn drop here. My opponent's gonna drop a pawn here. Yeah, we're gonna have to run. Interesting. Yeah, again, like I think I just messed up a little bit with that bishop trade, and it really like slowed down or like kind of just like killed my position, which feels so strange looking back on it that the bishop drop was bad, or sorry, the bishop exchange was bad. And I realize I don't have the evaluation here. You'll have to excuse me. I'm trying to hop between a couple different scenes, and I'm still not used to switching back and forth. So yeah, like I think here I was just hoping, can I just buy some time, get some sort of counter attack going? I thought here if he takes the gold, maybe I can just run. But it just doesn't quite work, right? So I can't take back because it's mate. So I had to keep. I just like was hoping I could just run and run and run. And at some point I'll get like breathing room to like make one move. But I never did. Yeah. Never did. Because if he makes a slow move somewhere, you know, I can like take the gold, and I get the other gold with the because my bishop is eyeing it. Then I might have an attack, but I need like two moves essentially, and he just never gave me the two moves. So yeah, I think the two things from this game that I definitely learned, and this is also from some of the other games, obviously, like play your prep. Don't get scared, just play your prep, right? Or don't like deviate from what you prepared. I think I did that. What was it in game two where I had that ridiculous comeback game? I don't think that would have happened if I would have just played my prep. I think I would have just gotten the nice position. And then same thing in this game. If I would have just played my prep and castled my king to the right, um, I think at least the game would have been better than what ended up happening, where I really just didn't have any opportunities to get anything going on the attacking side, because I kind of just like I even defended that first push, but then kind of like the second push I didn't do a good job handling. So, okay, um, I think he's a very strong player. And I was still a little bit reeling from the previous game. Obviously, if you haven't seen, you can see my analysis of my previous game. Um, and I think from here they must have like rejiggered the algorithm or whatever, because they sent me all the way back to like board like 40 or something after this game. So that was game six. So I started out 4-0. I lost the heartbreaker of game five. Then I had this game. Um, and yeah, so after this game, I was like, oof, like I wasn't feeling great, is the way to put it. Starting out 4-0, I was feeling great. I mean, I knew part of that was due to the matchmaking. Um, but I was like, okay, well, at least I'm playing okay. Although game two is a bit of a disaster. Um, and even after I think game five, I was like, well, I at least played well. Like I played well enough to win that game. And actually, I played, I basically did win that game. But this game, I really basically just got blown off the board, despite actually defending my opponent's initial attack. So yeah, needed to understand the position a little bit better. That instead of trading those bishops, what I should do is attack the second file, use the Tsugifu tactic to force the bishop away, and then I can push that six file pawn, and it's a gigantic threat, right? Instead of threatening to trade the bishops, which is not even a threat, he just couldn't take it because it's pinned. So yeah, I learned a decent bit about that type of position in this game. And so I think game seven, uh, so this is game six. And I believe game seven ends up being the same day, actually. So it was interesting. We played, I think, 3 games day one. We played 4 games day two. And then the last day, 2 games. And then because we had like the closing ceremony and stuff, and the last day ended a bit early. So I had one more game to play in this day, and I will be covering that game soon. So hope to see you in that video. Thank you.